What's going on, fam? It's your girl, Carrie Joy. And I'm here to demystify the city government shit once again. So I'll be talking to you about what's going on this agenda, but I'm here to speak to you from my heart today. And I'm hoping that you'll take some time to choose to listen. So on this city council agenda, for just this week, what's happening is that we are going to be setting aside $250 million for on-call infrastructure work over the next 3 years with construction companies that, whether they like it or not, have contributed to the gentrification of our city, using the labor of Black and brown people to build, but not paying them enough to afford to enjoy the fruits of their labor. We're also setting aside $165 million over the next 3 years for on-call construction in our parks, which are supposed to be public spaces. But our unhoused neighbors have been swept away from them in order to appeal to the comfort and privilege of the elite. I hope that we're paying attention as we are earmarking these dollars, once again bailing out large corporations. Meanwhile, I still have no sidewalks in my neighborhood. The same neighborhood that will make up one of the largest portions of the workforce of these companies as they build complete ecosystems in other parts of town, fighting every day to not become the homeless population that the city has abandoned. As the vicious cycle that most people are forced into every day means spending the majority of their day away from their family for subpar wages while they contribute to the increasing costs of living that drive them out of their own homes, simply because they played the game the best way they knew how and ended up getting played in the end. While the city chooses to invest in out-of-sight, out-of-mind politics, exploiting labor and calling it diversity, even though that exploitation is the reason people that look like me are dying at the fastest rates from COVID-19. I hope we're paying attention, as the same investment is not being made in our actual safety and security into things like housing for all first, fresh food and clean water accessible in every neighborhood first, ensuring that every child has what they need to learn in a safe virtual setting while subsidizing living costs so that families can fully support their children first, healthcare for all first, because refusing to address a concern in your body because you can't afford it are signs of an underdeveloped country. And it's happening right here in our own city. It's happening most to the Black and brown and poor people that are building this fucking city. Here's the thing, fam. Before infrastructure and man-made parks, there were human beings surviving with dignity. I see that the ideas of big cities and fake money have forced us to forget who we are. Our priorities are out of line. And I don't know if you know this, but the Denver police killed another man, Antonio Blackbear, in September of 2020. It has been said that he is the cousin of Paul Castaway, who was also killed by Denver police in 2015. Paul Castaway was having a mental episode when he was murdered. He needed help, not deadly force. Is it possible that Antonio was having a mental break as well? I don't know. But what I'm sure of is that there's another death that we could have avoided with a safety department and city administration that actually valued life. Paul's death was already one too many. I'm not interested in more proof because that means more lives lost and more lives destroyed. I'm not interested in more excuses. We have not done better. The city has abandoned its people, especially its Black and brown and poor people. And yes, it is by design. A quick history lesson. Because I challenge you to remember that if it was designed this way, it can be designed differently. The status quo and complacency breed death. We are spraying bullets and calling them seeds. What if we prioritized life? What if we tried to create laws that protect Black bodies rather than dehumanize them? Because it was once against the law for me to be able to read. It was once against the law for me to own my mind and my body. and for it not to be owned by a master. It was once against the law for me to buy a house in a certain neighborhood, and these are all still laws by different names. It was once against the law for me to be married to the love of my life or give her any affection in public settings, that I could be stoned to death or jailed for loving freely. It was once against the law for me to be taught African, Latin American, or Native culture in American classrooms. Oops, it actually still is. It was once against the law for the Native Americans of this land, the people that were here before any of us, to participate in their own governments and serve their own gods by law. I and so many people are denied our humanity every single day. But these laws were created. Race was constructed to make money on free labor. Class was created to concentrate power amongst wealthy, white, able-bodied men that publicly lived heteronormative lifestyles, because we all know the closet is a real place. I've lived there. But for a moment, can we be honest that so many of these laws are absurd, that these societal norms and mores are inhumane, that these constructs are beneath us? We are smarter than this bullshit. And if we have created them, we can create something else. Black, brown, and poor people are not asking for a lot. They are asking for what is owed of them. Reparations is a debt. And I know that many of you rich bitches may not understand, but you created these rules in order to exploit the masses. And whether you accept these rules that you have created or not, whether you are smart or decent enough to know that it applies to you too, no longer concerns me. It's time to pay up. You sow what you reap. I simply want the type of safety that rich white people have always had in this country: food, clean water, shelter, freedom, a neighborhood patrol that actually knows who you are and is committed to your protection. That's not a lot. I don't want to be forced to live in a Superfund site or next to a highway expansion and be told to say thank you because my kids will now be able to play on top of a 12-lane highway, to be able to sleep in my own bed and know that there will be full accountability if someone takes my life while I am defenseless. And yes, I am talking about the case of Breonna Taylor. I am talking about the negligence and complete disregard for Black life. I'm talking about giving a fuck rather than letting more than 50% of crimes go unsolved in our city, and that rate is even higher with Black, brown, and poor victims. That means removing funding from patrolling for crime, which is over-policing, and investing in forensics, investigations, looking into wage theft rather than petty theft. So start grilling these greedy-ass corporations. All of this has been done by design, by law, by loophole, by a system that most of our elected officials have chose to become rather than change, even though it dehumanizes most of them still today. Whether they are queer, Latina, disabled, Black, or brown. I mean, our director of public safety said on a public meeting that he almost didn't make it home alive from a police stop if it wasn't for the fact that he was a cop. And he knew it was only because he was a Black man in America. We don't need more evidence. No one deserves that. No one should be trying to protect this gross negligence of human life. I demand that we do better, and that we demand better for ourselves, that we be more courageous, that we choose to do something differently, because we are currently driving 100 miles per hour into a brick wall, whether we like it or not, and any other direction might actually save all of us. And in this moment, I feel inclined to ask each of you to take a look at the bill for the Department of Peacekeeping Services one more time. To take a look at bills that increase democracy. Imagine with us. Help us make it better. Help us help each other to make sure that we are reflecting who I know we are and who we can be. But we have to create it. Octavia Butler said it best. I write to create myself. These laws were written to create the societies that our oppressors have wanted, and it is working for them because they designed it that way. Using police as guard dogs for the elite and attack dogs on the poor and melanated, rather than the police being partners in our safety. They have become pawns in the hands of tyrants. But if we want something else, we have to do it ourselves. We can write these laws, these communal contracts that create the community that we want, that we believe we deserve. So what will it be? What world will we choose to create? So this week, family, I want to encourage you to demand that your city council members vote no on the collective bargaining agreement with the police. It's a slap in the face. I want to encourage you to tell your council members to veto the mayor's budget as it comes to them on Tuesday the 15th, because it should be a moral document that reflects the heart of the people of this city. But as we are criminalizing people that are simply trying to survive and refusing to use the money that is there to defend those people, we see it as the rules that it is, a document that manufactures consent to control the masses. But you are not sheep. The people of Denver know they deserve better, and the city knows it can do better, so let us demand it of them. And family, if the city doesn't do better, best believe I will see you at the next march, the next protest, the next rebellion, because we must be heard and our collective ideas must be implemented for this to be considered a valid democracy. Anything else and everything else is a dream and a fallacy. We can create something different, based on data, based on research, based on common fucking sense. So, as the majority of our council members recognize that they can do better and choose not to every day, being a part of a system that actively oppresses them rather than changing it, refusing to see the truth of their MLK Jr. rhetoric that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, I want us to recognize that it is up to us. You are the revolutionaries. We can right the wrongs of our history. So show up every Monday at 5 p.m. so you know what's going on. Sign up to speak, send your emails, make your phone calls, participate, but take your democracy back. Start rewriting these laws, start rewriting these policies, create these parallel forms of government that allow for us to truly be human. Don't forget who you are, your self-care. Remember that this is done collectively. We need each other. We depend on each other. It is up to us to fight for our freedom. So until next time, all power to the people.